Hello, welcome to Colorado Springs Hypnosis, your resource for hypnosis and hypnotic things. My name is Charles and I'm a hypnotist, and today I want to talk to you about the different ways you can experience hypnosis, and I think I'm going to go from the cheapest way all the way up to the most expensive way. So, go ahead and hang out and we'll go ahead and talk about it. Alright, so the cheapest and easiest way to experience hypnosis, to give it a try, figure it all out, is through videos and recordings. Now, of course, the cheapest way to do it would be find all these free videos. There are tons of hypnotists out there that are making YouTube channels just like I am. And a lot of them have all sorts of videos that they've made for experience hypnosis or smoking or weight loss or whatever. Like, you can go onto YouTube or Vine or any of the other video things and find anything that you want. All right. And of course, the second way to do it would be to go onto like iTunes or Amazon or something like that and actually buy pre-recorded recordings. And those are very good too. A lot of the times they're made by hypnotists like myself. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just made by someone who is familiar with hypnosis and they just make the recording to get a little extra income. So let's go ahead and talk about the pros and the cons of pre-recorded videos or soundtracks. So let's start with the pros. First pro is they're cheap. You know, they can be anywhere from free 99 all the way up to, I don't know, maybe $20-$30 depending on the hypnotist and what it's for and what their programs are like. So, you know, you can do really well with that. I know there's plenty of apps that you can download that have a bunch of hypnotic stuff on there, and sometimes if you want to, you know, use this one or that one, you can download a new one for like $2 more or something like that. So yeah, it's very inexpensive. Next thing is you can use them anywhere. You know, I use hypnotic stuff that I've made, but also things that other people have made, and it's really nice. You can just sit on your own couch or your own recliner, pop on a set of headphones. A lot of the times they put, you know, really nice music in there and binaural beats and all these other technologies. So all those things can be really good. The last thing that's really good about these pre-recordings is you can use them as many times as you want. You know, unless you were to go to a place where you had like a limited time to use the file or whatever, but most of the time it's a audio download or a video download, and you can just use it over and over and over again. You know, I have a not a hypnosis, but a meditation one that I listen to. I listen to it almost every night when I'm going to sleep, and I just listen to the same 3 or 4 ones that I really enjoy. All right, but let's go ahead and take a moment to talk about the cons for a minute. So when we talk about the cons of these pre-record things, they're not tailored. You know, they're not tailored to the individual. Usually when somebody makes something like this, they're going to put in suggestions that they think will be good for the broad audience, right? You know, so like, for instance, if I made one about smoking, I would probably say something like, oh, and you're going to save so much money and all this other kind of stuff, right? Because that's a big thing for a lot of people, is the amount of money that they spend on cigarettes. But frankly, in reality, that's only important to about half of my clients. You know, so if they were to go and download, you know, some video offline or purchase something off iTunes, you know, they would get something that's like, oh, think about all the money you're going to save and all this other stuff. Well, in reality, if money is not a good motivation for them, then that's not a suggestion that's going to be very helpful for them. The next thing is you don't really know who the hypnotist is. You know, I know that I've looked at hypnosis tracks online and things like that, and sometimes it doesn't even say if the person's a certified hypnotist or what school they went to or anything. All you know is that they made a track and they're going to sell it to you for $3.99 or whatever, or $10. And so, you know, it's a little bit of a crapshoot sometimes. You're going to buy this product and there's generally no guarantees, and maybe you'll see the results and maybe you won't. And on that, the next thing is there's no feedback. And this is something that I'll talk a little bit about on one-on-one, but some of the hypnotic techniques that hypnotists use require feedback. You know, even with people in trance and, you know, feeling good and everything, you know, we might have them nod or use finger movements and stuff like that to communicate with them. And that's something that we completely lose the inability to do on a pre-recorded track. Because if you were listening to a pre-recorded track and it said, okay, go ahead and nod whenever this has happened, you know, the track doesn't know when you nod, so not very helpful. Now, before we move on to the next one, I am going to talk about a subgroup of recordings. Some people, some hypnotists actually, will make recordings specifically for people. And that gives you a bunch of really great really great advantages. First of all, you know the hypnotist. All right, the hypnotist can talk to you and they can figure out what's important to you and why you want to make the changes that you want to make. It is generally going to be a little bit more expensive, but not necessarily always. It just depends on who you talk to. Again, you're still not going to have the feedback, but you're going to get a lot more of that personalization. But I know some hypnotists that'll charge $100 or $200 for a specialized track. So, depending on who you talk to, you may or may not save a lot of money. Okay, so let's talk about group hypnosis sessions. And I actually hear a lot from people on these, like when we do our advertising and things like that. People say, "Oh, well, I went to a group session and it didn't work," or "I went to a group session and it worked great." So here's the thing about group sessions. We're talking a little bit more expensive now, all right, because you're actually going to see somebody in person, but it still tends to be fairly cheap in comparison to one-on-one training. It's like the difference between going to a big seminar or finding like a personal life coach that's going to spend one-on-one time with you. Like the difference in price is going to be pretty large. Let's start with the pros. So first of all, number one pro, still cheaper than one-on-one. Not all the time, but most of the time. A lot of the times you'll get to meet the hypnotist, or at least you get a chance to sit and listen to them talk and explain what their deal is. A lot of the times you'll be able to give a call to set up that appointment and talk to people and maybe even do a consult or something like that. But depending on the size, if he's going to meet with 200 people at a time, you probably won't get that time, versus if you go to a group session where it's maybe like 10 or 15 people, perhaps you may get that time. They can be tailored to a specific group. Again, if you're dealing with a group of 200 people, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of tailoring going on. But if you're talking about, 10 people or something like that, sometimes they'll dig in and they'll ask people, individually why they want to smoke, and they'll make sure that, or why they want to quit smoking or lose weight or whatever, and they will put those suggestions in there. And so you get something that's not completely personalized, but it can be a little bit personalized. The next one is they can sometimes get a little bit of feedback. And it depends. Some hypnotists, it'll just be them sitting up on a stage and that's it. Other hypnotists will be up on a stage, but they'll have people that are kind of walking around the audience monitoring. So when they're going through the induction and everything, they can like help people out or give them a little extra direction to help them get in a trance, things like that. But that's really just going to depend on who you go see. So with all that being said, let's take a moment to talk about the cons. All right, the cons, it's not completely personalized. All right, especially if it's one of these bigger sessions, where they do 100 or 200 or 500 people. It is going to be a little more expensive than your recordings, but again, that's going to be depending on where you are, who you see. It's going to be a public setting. All right, so if you're not comfortable doing, what some people consider to be therapy next to 100 other people, then maybe that might not be as helpful for you. All right, and then the last thing is it's generally not very local. All right, so when you hear on the radio, "Oh, we're going to go do this," the one that we hear in the Springs all the time is, "Oh, we're going to come and do a smoking cessation one," right? But the people that do that, they do that like twice a year. So the guy's going to come in, he's going to take your money, he's going to hypnotize you, and then he's going to bounce. And if it doesn't work, he'll probably be back in 6 months. But until then, they can sometimes be a little bit hard to get a hold of. And the last, I do have one more con that I just thought about. Depending on what you want to work on, sometimes it's just not available. Like for instance, I once worked with a gentleman who did some psychedelics with a friend of his, and he thought his friend was trying to do some nefarious things, and I worked with him to help him get through that. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's not going to be any group sessions for people that did psychedelics and someone tried to take advantage of them. You're not going to find that, and you're probably not even going to find any recordings for that. So for something that's a little bit more obscure, sometimes you really just need to go find a specialist or someone that you can see one-on-one to deal with that problem individually. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about was going and seeing somebody one-on-one. And in general, this is going to be your most expensive option. Now, can you find an individual that will be less than maybe someone else doing group sessions? Maybe. But you know, it as a rule of thumb, going to group sessions is going to be a little bit cheaper than going to a one-on-one session. But other than that, I mean, that's really the only con of going and seeing somebody one-on-one. Let's talk about the pros. They're the most personalized. You sit down with a hypnotist and they talk to you about, A, what's your current situation? What do you want to change? How do you want your situation to change? They get the whys and the motivations and all that stuff. And then when they guide you in a trance, the scripting they're going to give you and the suggestions they're going to give you, they're going to be specifically for you. You know, I'm not going to sit here and talk about how expensive cigarettes are if you don't care how much they are, you know? I'm not going to sit and talk about, you know, you being able to go to the beach and wear some bikini if that's not even something that's important to you. Maybe you just want to look good for a wedding in the Midwest somewhere. That's totally fine. All right, the next thing is we have the ability to get feedback. You know, when I'm working with someone one-on-one, I'm sitting right there looking at them. All right, so I can ask some questions. I can get head nods. I can get finger movements. All right, I can see if they look like they're coming out of trance, or I can see if they look like they're going so deep that maybe they might be starting to fall asleep. And I'll actually kind of bring them up a little bit to make sure they don't fall asleep. You know, the next pro is in general, and keep in mind this is a rule of thumb. This is not a hard, fast rule or anything, but when you see someone one-on-one, a lot of the times you're going to get better results. All right, when I do my smoking, about 90% of my clients quit after one session, and that's pretty good. And of course, you know, we offer our guarantee; they can come back if they start smoking again or whatever. But a lot of times with group sessions, and keep in mind this is a little bit arbitrary, but you know, 50% success rate plus or minus. All right, when we're talking about video recordings, you know, they can have really good success rates with some people, and some people they don't. It's really going to depend on if that person picks a recording that has suggestions that resonate well with them. You know, so that's the nice thing about getting anything personalized. You know, like you go buy a suit at Mervyn's or Target or something like that, and it's going to fit like a regular suit. You go have some guy make you a suit designed for you, it's going to fit you flawlessly. So those are the big differences, and that's kind of what you have to look forward to. Now, I'm not saying the only way that you can get help is to go see someone one-on-one. By all means, if you want to, go get some recording videos. You know, if you hear about someone coming into town, you know, go try a group session and see if it works for you, because maybe it will. But at the end of the day, if you absolutely want, you know, success and you want it right now, your best chances are going to go to see a professional one-on-one. Anyways, I hope this video has been informational for you and hopefully entertaining. So please feel free to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you have something to say, something to ask us. I'd be more than happy to talk in more depth with any of you. So have an awesome day.